Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Conti Moore Smith, and I am a family law attorney in the Central Florida area. We primarily help individuals in Orange and Osceola counties, and also all the counties that touch Orange and Osceola. And so I'm here not as a lawyer, but I'm here as someone who is concerned about, or not concerned, who's interested in helping people learn more about judicial candidates. I know that people always call me and contact me and ask me questions about candidates because they don't really know. So I thought that it was time that we um, educate people and let them get to know more of our candidates, the judicial candidates, before we vote in August. And so that is where this idea was born. It's really about helping people learn more about the candidates and to understand more about the candidates. And so I am excited that we have Temika Hampton Johnson here with us today. Hey, Temika.
Hi, Conchi. How you doing?
Good. So we're going to kind of get into it. So you'll see a series. We're doing a series where we're interviewing people, asking everyone the same questions, and then we're going to share this on social media so people can watch it and get to know the candidates more. So our first candidate is Temika Hampton Johnson, and we can go to our questions and get going from here. So Temika, tell us your story, who you are, and what has shaped you into the person you are today.
All right. Thank you, Conti. Before I start, I want to take a moment just to thank Conti for holding this series. I think it is very important. It's a good way to help people to learn more about the judicial candidates and just really understand how the judicial system works. So thank you so much for this series, and I'm honored to be here today.
Absolutely.
So about me, I am a country girl from Stark, Florida. If you know Stark is made up about 4 or 5 prisons. They say growing up there, you either go to prison or you work for the prison. But I always knew I had bigger plans. I am a first generation college graduate in my family and the only lawyer. I learned early on that I wanted to be a judge based on the field trip we went on. There's not a lot of places to go in Stark. We went to the courthouse. And while at the courthouse, we were able to observe several judges. And I just remember sitting in one judge's courtroom and thinking, wow, that's cool, because he allowed every person the opportunity to be heard, to speak. He made sure they understood what was happening. And that was rare from what we saw that day. And I just remember that was Judge Sanders. And from that point forward, I said I wanted to be I wanted to be a judge. Well, I knew I had to be a lawyer first, but life has a way of happening. So I was raising kids, but I remembered the dream at 30, and I went back to law school and became a lawyer. And here I am 13 years later, still serving the community, still with that same passion, still advocating for my community, both here in Central Florida and still in Stark. And that's a small part of my story. The bigger part professionally, which I think is what people want to hear. I like to say I have a diverse background. I started my professional career as a military police officer in the Army Reserves. I then transitioned to being a probation officer for the state of Florida. When I decided to go back to law school, I was still working as a probation officer. So I went to law school part-time at FAMU's evening program while working full-time. My first job out of law school was as a public defender. And it was at that moment that I realized there are multiple sides to the judicial system. Mm-hmm. As a probation officer, I didn't quite understand when people would say, well, I didn't do it, but I just took the deal. Once I became a public defender, it became clear to me what that meant, because there were many times that I felt we had a strong case, we could go to trial, we can win this. And people would say, I just need to get out of jail, or my family's going to lose their housing, or, my kids aren't going to be able to eat. So it helped me to understand the complexity of the judicial system. From there, I went to working in labor and employment as an advocate for Orange County Public School employees, both the Classroom Teachers Association and the Orange Education Support Professionals Association. And there, it was really some of the same work, because I'm still defending people who are being accused of misconduct, sometimes wrongly accused, also negotiating, their working conditions, their pay, and filing grievances when their collective bargaining agreement is violated. And so dealing with the administrative hearings there. And so it's kind of been a pattern of mine always to just advocate for, quote unquote, the little guy. And this is just a continuation of that. Running for judge is not a departure. It's still, how can I best represent and support my community? And I think this is the route.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your story. You have a lot of different experience, so and all over the place. All right, so we'll go to our next question. How have you been involved in the Central Florida community?
So I've been a dedicated public servant, like I said, my entire professional career in every community I've lived in, specifically to Central Florida. I think I've served on several boards here. I've served on the ACLU Central Florida board. I currently serve on the LGBT Center board. I've dedicated numerous pro bono hours to both Orange and Seminole Legal Aid, representing low-income families in guardianship and family law cases. Most recently, I've been working with FRRC as far as helping to restore the rights of returning citizens to society. And then I volunteer a lot. I've been working with the League of Women Voters to help register high school students and helping them to understand the importance of exercising their right to vote. And every year I sponsor at least one student at Rock Lake Elementary during the Angel Tree Christmas program. And this past year, I actually was able to attend the program and just see the joy on the kids' faces. Specifically, one little girl who got a bike that I put together the night before, and just seeing the joy reminded me of my kids when they were younger, when they enjoyed the little gifts that we stayed up all night putting together.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Next question. And why are you running for this seat?
That's a good question. I think it's more, like I said earlier, I have a diverse background, and I think that's extremely helpful in this role. I understand the court system is not linear. What happens in criminal court has an impact on what happens in family court, what happens in dependency court. They're all intertwined. And I think that helps that I can see that big picture and that I can understand the importance of the decision-making and why it's so important to make sure when making a decision, it's rooted in the law. There's integrity in that decision. It's not based upon race, sex, or any other factors other than what are the circumstances presented, what are the facts, and let's apply the law to it, and let's apply it fairly across the board.
Okay. What sets you apart from other candidates?
Well, a little bit of what I just said, the diversity is one. And I think I've learned by working in such diverse avenues how to meet people where they're at. Mm-hmm. In different roles, I've experienced and worked with different types of people. I've worked with professionals. I've worked with what they call blue collar. I've worked with people from all walks of life. And the one thing that's universal there is if you treat people with respect and you show up and you do your job, they will respect you and they will appreciate it. And I think that's what sets me apart. I think also I just have the temperament for the job. I don't rattle easily. And what that means is I understand most times when you're in court, it's your worst day. Most times when you contact a lawyer, it's your worst day. Not many people contact us with good news. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of meeting people where they're at and understanding that how they present themselves in that moment is not necessarily a reflection of who they are in non-stressful moments. And so my job is to remain calm. Let's try to get to the facts of what's happening and let's see if we can find a resolution, not to meet ego with ego. Mm-hmm. and just escalate the situation. So how can I best de-escalate and help us to reach the goal that we're trying to reach? And I think that's what sets me apart from other candidates.
Okay. And what do you want voters to know about why you should earn their vote?
Why I should earn their vote. I think what I've said is how I advocate for the community as a whole. I think my history will show that. A lot of what I've done is not necessarily in the spotlight, but it's what I've done. It's in the grind. It's working side by side with individuals who understand we're trying to do things in the community, not necessarily for glory or to be, in the spotlight, but more so, or it needs to be done. And I think that's the hardest part when people ask me, what have you done? And I have to really think about it because I've never kept track. So like tally, I've done this, oh, I've done that. I didn't have a blueprint. As I mentioned, I am first generation college graduate, first lawyer in my family, navigating this journey on faith and really just following what feels right and just being authentically me. And I think that's what a lot of voters are missing, is that authenticity in these roles. And just remember where you came from and someone being able to relate to what they're going through and their background. Again, I'm from Stark. It's population of about 15,000. Most people don't even know where that is, but it is in Florida.
My best friend is from Stark, and I went there. And you guys had one stoplight when I was in college.
Well, we have a few more stoplights now, but it's still, we have a few more stoplights and a few less prisons, surprisingly. But it's still a small town. It still has a small town feel to it. But I am proud of the fact that I can go home to Stark at any time, and they're proud of me. They're proud of the work that I put in. They're proud of how I represent them when I'm out in bigger communities. And so for me, that means everything. It's not about the accolades and awards. It's about what's the legacy you're leaving, as far as, did you help someone else? Did you provide that blueprint for others so they don't have to navigate it the way that I've had to navigate it?
That's awesome, Temika. And is there anything else you would like to share with the viewers who are watching?
Yeah, and this is probably where I'm not going to give you the typical answer because it's not about me per se. I think the thing that I've learned during this journey is just really advocating for people to become informed voters. I think the judicial system works best when people trust it. And how do you trust it? You get involved. And that's by voting. That's by becoming an informed voter and learning about the candidates that you're putting in these seats. And so what I've really been encouraging people to do is do their research. And again, if you don't have the time to do that research, there are organizations who provide forums. They'll provide recommendations. Find one that, aligns with your beliefs and kind of look to them. Let them do the hard work, the research, and provide you with the information. Attend some of those candidate forums so that you can hear the information for yourself. But the most important thing is, let's vote the entire ballot. I've talked to a lot of people who say, I just skip over that judge section because I don't know who to vote for. And so if nothing else during this journey, I want to encourage people to do that. Don't skip it. It's on the ballot for a reason. It's important. Please vote the entire ballot. Even if you don't vote for me, vote the entire ballot and be an informed voter.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Temika, for joining us. I hope that this was helpful and beneficial to the viewers. Please share and like this video, and stay tuned for our next video. Thanks, Temika.
Thank you, Kanchi.
All right. Bye.
Bye.